Psalms of Paralysis. Gotta give Jonathan all the credit for that title, and I just love it because that's exactly what these songs are. They are our psalms, our hymns to paralysis, to medical experimentation, all leading to the idea of insanity.
I would certainly call it a more mature follow-up to our 2014 Committed EP.
Like, for me, being there from the beginning and watching the progression of the music, just I can't even describe what Asylum is now, because there's so many elements. You got Trey's weird technical death metal riffs, and then you have Jonathan's neoclassical influence in there, and it's just a completely different album, or any type of thing that I've heard, especially come out of DFW.
Asylum sound is like a weird, classical jazz take on black metal now. That's kind of what it is.
It's from out of this world.
It's pretty fucking interesting.
It's very eclectic.
It is.
Jonathan, Trey, and Colby, to see what they're doing on this album and stepping up their game is just completely amazing. Like, especially for Jonathan, for being the main writer of Asylum, he completely stepped up his game and was writing even more diverse riffs and throwing stuff in there like that, like I said, that neoclassical influence. And
man, his songwriting has just evolved in ways that I never even dreamed of, man. It's so unique. But it's definitely got that Asylum sound. It's black metal meets technical death metal.
We're just gonna leave it like that.
John had a lot of these ideas boiling in his head for years, and he's finally been able to refine it in these sensible structures.
Jesus. For the second guitar? Yeah.
That sounded
Oh
good.
shit, that was a total accident.
The name Asylum will never change. To me, it's much more than just a name. It's the essence of the band itself is like sanctity to me. In sort of seeking asylum from the tribulations of life, this band is the one aspect that I can always count on to be exactly how I would have it, exactly tailored to my ideas and my thoughts on the world, because I'm very lucky to have bandmates who feel the same way as I do. So this is our asylum, literally. This is our creative outlet. This is our way of expressing how we think and feel.
I think we've uploaded quite a few videos that show that we do not take ourselves extremely seriously. As in, we take the music seriously and we want to put out a perfect product, but we don't think we're some mightier than thou guys who are afraid to have fun, who are just like, sometimes guys are late or this or that, and we let the little things get to us because we're just together so much. But that's just how a band is. If at the end of the day we know it's not personal, then it's all about, you know, creating a perfect product of music, then we're all good. And that's one thing I know we are. We are all good. We are brothers and friends. We are friends. There's no hidden animosity in this band.
Name the band Asylum or Asylum.
I mean, he's a heavy motherfucker.
Yes, he is. I'm like, God damn, you're gonna throw up my back. Wow.
Keep your back straight.
Thick human.
What's up, man? Yeah. What's up, man?
Hey, good morning.
Thanks for being here. Good morning.
What kind of sweater is that?
It's a Christmas sweater, bro. Merry Christmas.
See? Got the fucking reindeer.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god.
Hey, there's 9 tracks on the album, but he's done one of them already, and we've released that one, so 8 songs await us in the adventure of recording.
I figured you could appreciate that.
My biggest contribution has probably just been my strictness to like adhere to rhythms and, you know, staying with the mat and stuff like that, paying attention to stuff like that. I played drum set in a steel pan band at Texas A&M Commerce for a while. Played drum set at church when I was younger. Still do now a lot for paid money. Just because, you know, that's how I make my living. And I pretty much just play drum set wherever I can. And so when, you know, John gave me the opportunity to play metal, I kind of jumped on it because I hadn't had an opportunity since I was in high school. So that was kind of cool. To be honest, most of the parts had already been written and were just waiting to be assembled into songs by the time I'd already joined the band. So there's not really a need for me to do anything like write riffs and everything like that. It's something I hope to do in the future, but as far as songs as Paralysis goes, I was mostly just in charge of the drum part, and I kind of made myself in charge of like rhythms and like being kind of like a drill sergeant to these guys, kind of accidentally, but sorry, not sorry.
Sergeant McKenzie Webb, man, I can't thank that guy enough for whipping us into being the best musicians that we could be, because he actually taught me a lot about music, and now I view music way more differently because now I have that internal metronome just sitting there clicking in my head to whatever I'm listening to.
Our rehearsals are efficient. He's very quick to point out mistakes if they're there. It's never anything personal, but it's just to eliminate, you know, bottlenecks, mistakes in the process.
That last bass drum hit us early. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just every 3 notes you hear is supposed to be the downbeat, you know what I'm saying?
McKenzie, man, he is like a drill instructor behind those drums. If you screw up, he'll tell you right away, and he will make you do it again and again and again. 666 times he'll make you do it till it's perfect. And I know there's been some headbutting in practices because of that, but we all want the same thing. We all want perfection.
Oh, no, well, that would be, it's a sextuplet still, it's just like condensed, so it's like a 24th note now, essentially.
He speaks
So it's still
music,
like-
which is very important. Me being able to effectively communicate my musical ideas as efficiently as possible is imperative for the album writing process. So that helps songwriting a lot. Prior musical experience, knowledge of theory, good suggestions as to what might sound the best for particular parts. So really the addition of McKenzie has been great in every way possible.
I mean, the fro pick is great. Like, it's perfect. That's just like a trademark. Like, he has to keep that everywhere. Like, I always tell him to, like, keep that there. It's just black guy with a fro pick. In a death metal band, you don't really see that much.
Mackenzie's clothing. Okay, I haven't made a big deal of it to him or to anyone really, but I will not lie. There's a part deep inside me that's like, oh man, get some band shirts or something, man. Wear all black or something. But at the same time, it makes us unique, man. It almost makes us more diverse and, multicultural, I guess you could say. I don't know, because you look at him and you think, no way can this dude do metal. He has some of the best fills I've ever heard. He is a well-oiled machine of drumming, and I'm glad to have him. So, at the end of the day, as long as he keeps blasting back there and just, wowing the listeners and the audiences, I don't care what he wears.
As long as he plays the show perfectly, you could go up there wearing a hot dog suit for all I care.
But, Mackenzie, if you're watching this, get some band shirts, man.
Well, unfortunately, almost every time I played with Asylum, I was coming from another gig or doing something else prior that night. I have almost no metal merch, being that I've just gotten into the Dallas scene recently, so I don't have any shirts. I never got into any concerts. I don't have any of that stuff. I plan on expanding as soon as I make more money with all these gigs I'm playing to invest. And I want to invest in some more band swag. Basically, you gotta have the stuff. But honestly, I also make sure that I'm pretty comfortable. I mean, there's a lot of guys that go up there in basketball shorts, and no one says anything about them. So I'm just like, fuck off, I guess. That's what I say to them. Suck a dick. So, yeah.
Colby, the professional madman. I've been in a band with him since 2000, I believe, 11 or 12. But that was my other band, the Steinax. Just knowing how hard he worked in a Steinax and having to see that in Asylum, I was more than happy to continue being in a band with him, because he's one of the most dedicated musicians that I've ever worked with, and a hell of a stage presence at that.
I want to be the epitome of a frontman, and I almost don't want them looking at the other guys. The other guys are creating the music. I'm creating the show. So I will headbang as fast and viciously as need be. I will call to the crowd, do this, do that. And luckily our music inspires that kind of movement, and it just feels like I have the crowd in the palm of my hand sometimes. Mosh, and they do it, and it's a beautiful thing. And then I try to really channel the idea of what I think are the themes of Asylum, just that idea of insanity and loss of control, and I try to lose all control of myself when I'm on stage.
Because to me, whenever I think of Asylum, I think of Colby, just being out there, just being Colby, man. There's no other words to describe him. He's just Colby.
When people think Asylum, not in a conceited way, but I want them to think of me. I want them to think of my eyes rolling in the back of my head. I want them to think of straitjackets. I want them to think of me hopping around like a literal lunatic, just shaking my hair everywhere it'll go. And I want them to feel like they are insane right along with me. I am an English teacher. Not all people know that. A lot of people do. I love the English language. I love literature. I love writing. That's part of why I love writing lyrics and part of why I love art. So music, death metal. So that's a unique thing that maybe not everyone knows. What do my students think? They think, I'm gonna say 80% of them think it's awesome. You know, they're always asking me questions. When's your next gig? Can you show us some of your music? Can you show us your videos? And it's not a common thing for them to have a teacher who has that kind of lifestyle. You know, they're used to their teachers, I guess, being, you know, kind of boring and just they teach and they have no life, or at least they think they have no life.
Have you scooted it slightly?
Huh?
If you scooted that the slightest bit to the left.
The slightest bit to the left.
Then there's always the 20% or so students who think it's kind of scary, kind of freaks them out. You know, that's just, I just take the good with the bad, and I kind of laugh it off. I won't say enjoy it, but I just laugh it off. I thought of some lyrics.
And you know, sometimes it's kind of like a rap, and in this genre, everything's technical, so you have to consider syllable counts here, here, and here. So sometimes we might just come up with a phrase and then, you know, see how we can fit it rhythmically behind the rhythms that are already going.
A divine ordination.
That's in rhythm. Before
the altar. A divine ordination.
Divine ordination. All right, next line.
Some parts, we just have these certain syllable counts that we want to go with the vocals, so we have to just make lyrics that follow that.
To attain complacency and total inactivity.
To attain complacency and total inactivity. Okay.
From an ever-willing mass is eager to accept that which seems best
What's
to
up,
make
man?
them feel secure.
Trey, get up. Trey.
Trey. Hepfner?
Hepfer.
Hepfer?
Most people pronounce it Heifer on accident.
Trey Hepfer, man. As young as he is and as good as he is on the guitar, it's ridiculous to know that he can only get better, which kind of sucks for me because I have to keep up with all the crazy shit that he writes. But man, just being around that guy, you kind of forget how old he is sometimes because he's always acting all goofy and shit. I kind of catch myself kind of saying the stupid shit that he says and kind of drive myself crazy over that sometimes.
Take off your pants and your panties.
Yeah, Condre.
Get on the floor.
Grade him.
But overall, man, that motherfucker. You're fucked, Trey. You're fucked.
How you doing, man? Oh, is it?
Why do you even try?
I don't know why I continue to try.
One with the second position seemed a little sharp, though.
Perfect, man.
Amazing.
Trey actually wrote two of the songs in this album, Prefrontal Orbit and Conjuring Fog, and those turned out spectacularly. They're a whole lot of fun to perform. Mechanically, they're crazy, but that's something you can look forward to in future Asylum releases. So a lot more of Trey's kind of frantic guitar work.
Hey. Hey, my name's Trey. And I'm gay.
How we just had it was
Remember the idea I had for that?
Like,
he would take, because are you doing the same chord progression as you are in the 3/4 section, just in 4/4?
No, that's
Oh, no.
that thing. No, that's not happening.
Never mind, sorry.
Yeah, Trey.
Fuck me and my piece
Dude,
of
you're
shit
pure-
ideas.
Oh, dude, I need more water. All right, so I'm gonna need you to just go outside, and then we're gonna do all of this one more time.
What? Why?
I don't want to just rip it out.
Rip my dick out. The last time I gave a shit, I got fucked.
The only reason Dennis gives a shit is because Dennis is so full of shit.
True that.
Right?
Dennis, if you're watching
My
this,
name's
get your
Shit.
shit together, man.
Shit. My name's Shit.
All right, don't lose it. Don't set it on there. Take it, put it in your pocket.
Want to set it in there?
Yeah, that would probably work.
Yeah.
Good luck. Alright, that's over with. Now we can get to the real stuff.
The artwork for Psalms of Paralysis was derived from an illustration by Henry Carter from Gray's Anatomy, originally published in 1858. It's a face somewhat stricken with a look of ailment almost. And this image was just very representative of some of the themes I was trying to convey with the music on this album. This face is adorned in a wreath of neurons, as well as afflicted with a second face attached to the back of his head, kind of hinting at sort of multi-personality disorder. There's a multitude of themes and just ideas that aren't even put into words that are just kind of artistically conveyed that I really found to have a real connection with in that illustration. I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to the creative side of things. I'm definitely almost entirely on the right brain side. I work in design, Photoshop, the Adobe suite, graphic design. I worked up this image in Photoshop to take it from a flat illustration to a very stylized, almost portrait style piece of art. We really wanted to go for a more of a minimalist approach with this artwork as opposed to intricate details all over the place, because I never want the viewer's focus to stray from the affliction.
I'm telling you, man, you can cut so many costs if you just do your marketing and graphic design in-house as opposed to outsourcing.
George Orwell's 1984 is also very much an influence on some of our themes, some of our writing. Because it's not really as much of an idea anymore as it seems to be slowly turning into reality. So you could almost say this album is an observation of the world as it is or as it is becoming.
This album's pretty quirky. There's a lot of stuff on it.
I'm very passionate, and so I can almost get bossy, I know, and I'm sure that agitates the guys. Jonathan is the same way, man. He likes to have control, and he'll tell you that himself, so I'm not bursting any bubbles there. And I'm sure we all get a little agitated by that, like, let us have a little control here too.
Songwriting and song structure is very important to me. almost always I will appreciate much more someone's ability to piece together a song in a mechanically satisfying way more than I appreciate just pure technical ability.
Well, I think it's like, for metal especially, it's really important to have, I guess, good drums, because really it's hard to hear rhythms through guitars, especially when they're distorted and there's a lot of other things going on. And so a lot of rhythms can get lost, but a lot of times in metal, the drum set is accenting those rhythms or playing the same rhythms also, so you have like some sort of impact for your ears to cue in on. So it's relatively important. I mean, it's just as important as it is in any genre of music, really. Like, what is anything without drums, honestly? I'm not to say there isn't music to be made without drums, but I think it definitely helps and enhances the situation.
Motifs are something that I really try to keep in mind for the larger ideas of the album. For example, you have apprehensia, beginning a musical idea, you flow throughout the album, and Neuroslave, the very last track, kind of takes some of those ideas from apprehensia, brings everything back together in a circle, brings it all home, and you have a much more fluid, flowing, large piece of music than just song 1, song 2, etc.
I will say, I guess I just always just try and be a little bit honest with yourself, you know. If you can play something, you can play it. If you can't play it in and out backwards with your eyes closed, you can't. So it's just practice, I guess, is my one thing.
The OG Asylum lineup was John, and then Colby was on drums initially, and it was basically John and his like TCU frat boys all up on the front of the stage.
We got together. I had some guitar riffs that me and a couple of guys was going to college at TCU at the time. We had written a few songs together, and we wanted to start a band. Found Colby through the internet, and we all met up. And at the time, we actually intended for Colby to be our drummer. He was back there laying down the rhythms to some of these complex riffs we've been working on.
Then I know after that, the Madry twins, Chris and James, they joined, and so did Daniel Gomez. They had some musical contribution. They're all really good musicians, really good guys. And then like they had to dip out, and then it was only Colby and John, so they had a shortage of members. And the band I was in at the time, which was Crucifix with the K, because it's thrash, me and two other guys from that band just came over to Asylum. We were like, hey, they're more established, they seem more professional, so we joined. And I just kind of ended up being the only one staying because the tech stuff kind of seemed like it's kind of more my world than the thrash. I just kind of got burnt out on that stuff.
We really wouldn't be where we are without the help of, a group of several spectacular musicians.
Then we had the blank period. We had some temporary bassists and drummers come through. Then the twins came back. They joined for a little while, actually, well, over a year. And then they wanted to pursue their own stuff. And then, 2 weeks later, we had found rediscovered McKenzie, I guess. John went to high school with him. Once I saw like how he was, I was like, this dude is definitely going to be essential for this lineup. And we already knew Carlos because he had been in bands with Colby and he was in the scene already.
What's going on, man? Good to see you.
How are you doing this fine Saturday morning?
Oh, I'm doing well. And yourself?
Fairly decent.
Good to hear, my friend.
Yeah.
Carlos just joined our band 6 or so months ago, I believe. But I knew Carlos for years before that, and he's been very involved in the DFW metal scene. And we were good friends prior to his involvement in Asylum. But ever since he joined, he's caught on the material very quickly and has been diligent in making sure that he knows everything about every little aspect and is contributive as possible. So I appreciate that very much as well.
Damn, that's funky, man. Good job.
Do that part.
I've done so much as far as like everything that I wanted to bring out as in myself as a bassist, as far as being able to like to do solos and like tapping and things of that nature. Like I feel like I really put my all into the stuff that I did do on this album.
Irving Lopez, man, I can't say enough about the guy. He's fucking hilarious to be around. He's hardworking, hammering out this album as much as we are, man. He's putting in the work, probably more than we could ever ask for, and we appreciate him for that.
He's been very accommodating to our hectic schedule. We have a collection of self-imposed deadlines, all of which we try and strictly adhere to.
Irving is great. He's, just as dedicated as us, and he's probably losing more sleep than us over this. He's being patient with us. There's a lot of little nitpick parts that you got to spend a ton of time on. He's been completely understanding about it. He is good at what he does. Definitely, I'm really glad we picked him to help us out with this.
That is one hardworking dude, man. Like the times that we've gone in there like straight after work and working to the late night and getting up and having to do it all over again, and he wrote it out with us, and there's nothing, I can't thank him enough for everything that he's done for the band and for the dedication that he puts into his work. Props to him, man. Props to you, man.
John Fossum, aka Carcass John.
Good old Carcass John, man. I met him with one of my other bands that I drum in. He was really into that band, and he did a few things for us for free for that band. And then just through that connection, he was able to come see Asylum eventually. And he really dug the sound of Asylum. And then Jonathan and him got to talking, and us three got to talking.
I am getting a few hours behind the wheel, though, to get in shape for the big Asylum World Conquest tour.
He designed our logo long ago. Probably the most multifaceted and talented and overall just helpful person that I know.
Carcass John is just a very, very business savvy guy. He's very intellectual, and above all, he knows music, especially heavy music. He knows the business side. He knows what's good and what's not, and he's just a very guiding hand for us. And he gives us tips. Don't go down this path, go down this path. And he really wants us to do well, and he's slings merch for us. He does all this stuff. He's really almost a philanthropist towards us, and just with his generosity, we've hardly paid him a dime. He's just an awesome guy and a true metalhead. I think that's important.
Special in-studio guest with me,
Right now, this is Asylum. Introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Will be appearing on the illustrious Dungeon with Raven himself, the one radio station locally that plays extreme metal Saturday nights from 12 a.m. to I believe 4 a.m. And we will be making an appearance on that. And Raven's awesome. He kind of like Harkus John. He's a true metalhead. He knows his stuff. So we're going to be on there to talk about the release show and things like that. And that's always fun to get on there because I've never heard a radio station that truly supports the underground extreme metal like the Dungeon does.
And what's the title of the new release and when's it coming out?
Psalms of Paralysis. Official international date set for March 17th, St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, very cool stuff, man. You guys are carving your own musical niche, and it sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I like the word progression. These four musicians surrounding me have created a diabolical blend, which were a couple of the lyrics in there, of all the awesome heavy metal genres that I love. You know, you name the subgenre, I think there's a little piece of it in there. I think that's awesome.
I think we've definitely taken some elements from other metal that we all enjoy and tried to bring it into one.
Indeed.
Yeah, one solid piece that we can all agree upon. It's not too much of this or too much of that.
Yeah, and a lot of that is Trey's contribution to the songwriting. Trey, what do you feel like you've been able to do?
Yeah, I've had my take on quite a bit of this. I've fully written 2 songs on this with some input here and there on other songs. My style's a little different from John. John has a heavy classical influence. I dabble a little more in like the jazz world. So progressive is definitely a word we could use now along with the technical aspects. But yeah, it's a lot more eclectic and a lot more refined in both of our writing styles.
Psalms of Paralysis, the new disc from Asylum, special in-studio guest. Thank you guys so much for coming down. We're going to continue on with some psychiatric regurgitation. This is Crown of Nails.
Hey, McKenzie, could you slide over so I can get in the middle?
Well, if we're just like talking metal, the first band I got into was Born of Osiris.
Archspire kind of made the tech whatever just kind of click in my head as far as what I wanted to play, even though I'd already been in the band for a couple of years.
I eventually moved on to Black Dahlia Murder. I think that was because John was pushing it on me, and I fell in love with it.
But I just saw them and I was like, that is crazy, and I would like to do that eventually.
Like a lot of Origin and like a lot of Beyond Creation, stuff like that.
Surreption, Archaic, Veil and that.
And then eventually I moved on and kind of got to like Animals as Leaders. Nowadays, at least, that's what I listen to. It was a long time when I got out of it and only listened to like jazz or what was on the radio, stuff like that. Some Snarky Puppy or some Funky Knuckles or stuff.
Cattle Decapitation, Dragged into Sunlight, some of it's just nasty, shrieking black metal horror sounds. Paul Gilbert, Guthrie Govan, Christian Munzner, Miche Fambro, Dave Suzuki, and Vital Remains. J.S. Bach, I would say, is my favorite composer of all time. You can actually hear an homage or two to J.S. Bach's music and some of the material from Psalms of Paralysis. Particularly the Bach cello suites. It's something that's always been very beautiful to me.
My influences are heavy metal, but I just love every kind of metal, but definitely the extreme metal umbrella, which I consider thrash metal, black metal, and death metal. I try to integrate those three together, and that's part of why I love Asylum, because Asylum sound integrates those three together. If you listen to my vocals, you'll hear a lot of like the old school black metal, the very raspiness, and my trademark. Well, not my trademark. A lot of people have done it before me, but I love to do the and then my low vocals, I try to get a lot of inspiration from the old school death metal greats like Chris Barnes and Corpse Grinder of Cannibal Corpse, Frank of Suffocation, guys like that. And then as far as stage presence, I've watched a lot of guys ranging from Robert Lowe of Candlemass and Solitude Aeternus to Shagrath of Dimmu Borgir to Bruce Corbett of Rigor Mortis and Warbeast. All these guys, they do these antics on stage, you know, and they make these faces at the crowd, and the crowd is really immersed in the stage show. It's not just a performance of music, it is a stage show, it is an act. And I get that. So lots of different influences trickling down there. But yeah, I love being in this band. I love Asylum. I'm so incredibly excited about this record.
We certainly explore ideas of anatomy and dystopia and humanity, alternative futures and that sort of thing. But I would say Asylum in a larger sense really depicts the fragility of man, our susceptibility to distraction and manipulation, really how easily man can be controlled, persuaded, enslaved. And we put these things into music in hopes that people will become less attached to material goods such as technology, empty belongings, and instead focus on what's important: creativity, expressing oneself, free expression, art, spending time with the ones that care about them. This is all we really have in life. And ultimately, no matter who's rich and who's poor, we all end up in the grave sooner or later. So all I can really say from Asylum, you take a very real message home. You should just make the very most out of your time here. This time is short.
It's pretty exciting to be a part of, because getting Jonathan's ideas combined with Trey's ideas, as soon as we get those writing together, I think it's going to be an even more brutal album that we throw out there. It's, combined with McKenzie's drumming and Colby's vocals, it's just, there's a lot to look forward in Asylum nowadays. I'm pretty excited to be a part of it.
You know, we did learn a lot of lessons from this. A lot of things were rushed, but came out pretty good. And every album after this is just going to get better and better. We'll learn more and more lessons, fix more mistakes, and yeah, I think Asylum's going to get somewhere.
Enjoy it. Enjoy Psalms of Paralysis, and you will be eternally committed to straitjackets within the Asylum.
Anything you want to add, McKenzie? Anything like to say?
Buy merch. There we go. That's a good one.
Buy the mixtape.
Yeah. Buy the album.
All right. Releasing fire.
Symmetry?
Extremities.
Extremities.
Extremities twitch. Could you do symmetry?
Your what?
Ween should fit fucking thing.
Glasses on, but
Alright.
Dog. Very turtle dog. Very turtle dog. You're so gay, bro.
Thanks.
To drive our herd of sheep and slaves to their needs.
To drive a herd of sheep and slaves to their needs. System.
Yeah. Alright.
Very nice.
Fire extinguisher. It's a necessity in all residential and business locations.
Gotta have one.
Like, hell no. I'm gonna smoke that bitch out as many times as possible.
Sucking all the dicks and named him Rick.
This dick is better than everyone else. Think you're better than me?
Holy fuck, this guy.
Oh, you think you're better than me because you're crashing the road?
Some of the autofocus.
Got rakins in your garbage cans. Rakins. Skunks. Varmints.
Got Squirrel Cheryl, she's cool. It's goddamn Rakins.
Dude, I was slipping with sweat, dude.
How much ass got in that shit, dude?
It's like, what are you, gay? Get your dick out and start peeing. What's wrong with you?
Will you turn off that PA?
Colby, you're a late hanger tonight, man. How's it going, man? Welcome to the nightclub. Enjoy your stay.
I'm on vacation, boy.
Oh yeah, Psalms, I think should definitely be.
Is there a bug?
Bass dominant.
Does anyone have a cigarette?
Camera.
Filming now.
Are you going out there too, Colby?
You're filming.
Are we?
I guess let's all go.
Okay. I gotta get my shit, man.
It's not cold. It's not cold, man.
No, I'm going. What? Is everyone leaving?